All right, we'll start with the introduction. Please define yourself.
Good evening, sir. My name is Shreya Slatia and I belong to District Udhampur. I've done my schooling from Army Public School and then did my graduation in Public Administration Honours from MCMDV College, Chandigarh. And thereafter, I've been preparing for the civil services. I also have pursued my master's in the same subject from distance mode, for which the results are still awaited. And apart from this, my interests are traveling, living a sustainable life, and landscape painting, sir.
Sustainable life, living a sustainable life. Is it a hobby or a way of living?
It's a way of living.
Then why have you mentioned it as a hobby?
So I think in that bracket it states hobby slash interest. So living a sustainable life is an area of interest for me, sir.
What do you do in that? Please elaborate on that.
So on personal level scale, as on professional level, I have not got enough opportunities as I have been occupied with this preparation. On personal level scale, by sustainable living, I would mean that to minimize the resources which can impact the nature, like my plastic usage. I use bamboo toothbrushes. I try to take shower in a bucket and not like regular shower because it leads to more wastage of water. And to travel locally by local transport as much as I can. And otherwise, I try to restrain and influence my friends, my family to not put garbage in the nature. In short, sir, I would like to say to live in I would say like to coexist with the nature. I think that is the key of living sustainably.
Shreya, we have recently developed some systems of living in the world wherein this concept of coexisting with nature is being used to, to sell that system around the world. Are you aware of such agricultural and non-agricultural systems that we have wherein humans are in sync with the nature, coexisting?
Yes, sir. One would be India has been promoting it a lot is natural farming in agriculture where we use natural based solutions like uh, the natural based solution, not chemical based pesticides or insecticides to promote the organic farming. And otherwise, India has also been promoting the lifestyle for environment that advocates for sustainable living. And otherwise, I cannot recall as much in detail so right now.
But natural farming or organic farming is not that important in a way that it does not sell the idea of humans coexisting with nature. It's just that you don't want to pollute the environment or you don't want to pollute the soil. Uh, the idea of coexisting with nature that you mentioned is a concept that is involved in the agricultural practices we call permaculture. Do you know about that?
Yes, sir. Not in details, but I'm aware of it, sir.
Please elaborate on that.
So, permaculture is related to, so it is a sort of organic farming only, in which we use less of chemical and pesticides, not rightly aware of the details. So.
Okay. Are you aware of climate smart agriculture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you know about that?
So, climate smart agriculture, in which we use less tillage of the soil, zero tillage, and we try to produce more of the crops which lead to less emissions of methane and other like rice and paddy fields, which is equally important for as a diet supplement. But otherwise, we can diversify the crops so that the emissions could be less, and that would be ensured climate smart agriculture.
You mentioned organic farming. Why is the market of organic products in India, not sufficiently enough to actually get the traditional farming be replaced by organic farming? Because the market is not enough as compared to the developed world. So, what are the reasons, in India not having enough demand for the organic products?
Yes, sir. So one reason would be ever since the Green Revolution period, the India, due to its main focus on being self-sufficient in the food supplement, so we promoted the rice and wheat based agriculture, and due to that, and due to also the higher prices in MSP which are allotted to farmers in certain crops, and the farmers are not being engaged into other more diversified crops and organic farming. I think there are less avenues and less opportunities for them. But we have been
But
growing.
what
Sikkim is the first fully organic state in India. And I think we have been doing well
that
in that.
That's true, but what are you addressing are the supply side issues. But my question was regarding why is the shortage in the demand? What is the problem regarding the demand side?
So, if to answer it from a perspective of a youth mindset, I would say I see my peer group engaging more into junk food culture because of the kind of work life balance they have, who are working in corporate, and otherwise they have less time to invest into natural and fresh food, and they prefer McDonald's and like other junk food based companies to go for a ready made food. Like, so I would say that it's a issue of demand side that way. So.
You mentioned MSP. How many crops is the government providing MSP for?
So, can I take a guess? I'm not sure of exact number, but it's between 23 to 27, I think.
Is sugarcane part of it?
So, sugarcane is a cash crop, I believe, and it is a part of fair and remunerative price and not MSP. Sir.
Okay, what is the rationale? What is the rationale behind minimum support price, and whether or not it is providing it's proving its worth?
So, in a way, to an extent, yes, because 70% of India's population is rural, out of which 45 to 50% still depends on agriculture, and 80% of which is are small and marginal farmers. So, to provide them a security net in terms of failures of crop, like if there is a deficit of monsoon or there is excessive monsoon, and they are not able to secure their crops, then MSP can help them ensure a basic minimum income. So,
The procurement done at MSP is done by whom?
so APMCs, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committees in states.
APMCs are mandis. These are markets where the produce is sold, but the procurement is done by whom?
So, by Food Corporation of India.
Okay, yeah. Does Food Corporation of India have enough funds to procure these crops at MSP?
So, I'm not aware of the real numbers, but I think we procure more as there have been news of food wastage in the godowns of the FCI. So,
Then, if they have been procuring more, then why are they crying for fund shortages?
I'm not sure of the reason, sir. Not well read on that.
All right. Are you aware of the concept of extra budgetary resources?
Extra budgetary resources, yes, sir.
Okay, what is that?
So, extra budgetary resources would mean to raise the money through other means than the uh, mentioned money in the budget. Like we have been promoting the strategic management and disinvestment of the public sector undertakings, like the recent example of Air India. Through that, which we raise money to invest into the capex, the infrastructure development.
Are you saying that disinvestment and privatization and the money raised from that is part of extra budgetary resources?
So I'm not sure, sir. I think maybe.
Okay, Shreya, what's the meaning of your name, Shreya?
So Shreya word is derived and is said to relate with goddess Lakshmi, which means prosperity, auspicious, and likewise.
So, what do you think about how do you interpret this saying that fortune favors the brave? What do you understand from it?
So, fortune favors the brave, as you just asked the question to my name, which also is related to a term called Shreyas in Sanskrit word, which means that the one who focuses on long term investment, long term gains, than short term pleasures. Like if we see today's youth, they try and engage in short term benefits. Like if we'll do this, we'll gain that, but they don't look at the larger perspective in a bigger picture. So, in context to your statement, that can you repeat the statement, sir?
Fortune favors the brave.
He was the brave. So, in that context, that if we are patient enough to invest our time into something in which we strongly believe in, if we have dreamt of it, eventually, slowly but largely, we will be able to achieve that, sir.
Always. Shreya, give me two instances where you have brought in good fortune for others.
So, good fortune in respect of, sir.
In respect of anything that you can think of, but it should have an impact on the others, not on yourself.
Rightly, sir. Uh, so, if I can remember an incident sometime years back, I was on a during COVID time. I was on a long evening walk with my mother, and we saw a very small girl, might be aged between 4 to 5 years old, and she was asking for money from the people who were coming there for the evening walks. As I stopped there and asked her what is the reason, why are you asking for money, and she mentioned about that her mother is severely sick and they don't have money for basic medicines and everything else. And I visited her home. It was a small makeshift home out of mud and other things. And her father was also a chronic alcoholic. And I tried to help through best of my means, through the provisions of like basic the government schemes which they can through which they can be helped. I asked my peer groups. I asked my father to help me in the best way so that I can provide them something in my capacity. So,
Okay, other than that, any other instance?
so fortune to others. Can it just be related to human beings, sir, or animals can also be included?
Anything that you can think of.
So I'm also a very passionate animal lover, and I try to help uh, whatever in way I can. I found a street dog which was almost dying in the rain in the middle of a street, and I took her to the hospital and cured her with the medicines and everything. But unfortunately, she died like a week post that. But I tried to help her from that dilapidated state.
Don't you think that people being a lot more passionate towards dogs is creating a dog menace in Jammu and Kashmir?
So, in respect of that street, so I'm not able to gauge the depth of your question, sir.
People being passionate in a sense that people provide them food, these street dogs, that they get a place where they continuously get food, and they are not ready to leave that place and all that. So it creates a lot of dog menace in that area. Children are not able to move out on the streets, and that becomes a problem in administration. Do you think being more passionate to dogs is creating a problem?
So, talking it from the civil perspective, in a way, I feel that if we treat them badly, because they won't react until and unless we treat them badly, the people not treating them good, they are throwing stones at them, they are harassing dogs. I've seen children like pushing, like pulling their tails and everything, and deliberately killing or giving them poison. I've seen it in my own streets and everywhere. I think it's a lack from civil society to be not that much caring enough for the other beings who are existing in the nature. And from the administration perspective, yes, definitely more shelters and the Animal Cruelty Act can be implemented in a more effective way, I think. In that way, if both of them work diligently in a balanced way, I think we can find a good approach. In a way, we can live better with the beings around us.
Your mother tongue is Hindi, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the script of Hindi language?
So, Devnagari.
Are there any countries that have given recognized Hindi as a minority language?
So, if I'm allowed to take a guess, I think 2 years back there was a World Hindi meeting which was held in, I think, Mauritius. I'm not sure, sir. I'm just making a guess.
What do you think of this idea that has been propounded recently, Hindi imposition?
So, Hindi imposition is more of not promoting our mother tongue, as my mother tongue is Hindi. But in southern states, their mother tongue is different than ours. And promoting Hindi over their mother tongue and vernacular language can create problems for the new going students to schools, as they are not much aware of the Hindi language. And I think Hindi definitely should be taught to everyone, but not beyond a choice, as vernacular and mother language is equally important.
But don't you think having a lot of diversity is also not good for a country? What is your opinion on that?
So, in my opinion, it is good. It is good in a way we get to learn a lot from different cultures. And if only the humans learn to live in harmony, sir, I think the diversity can be used as a strength, not a weakness. And I think there's a problem in which we see it. It's a perspective game, sir, according to me.
Shreya, what is your birth date?
So, 11th September 1997.
You're born on 9/11. Give me some two or three big instances or events that have happened on 9/11 that have changed the way we look at modern world right now.
So, the most significant one being the terrorist attack, which happened in the United States of America by uh, by a terrorist organization, which led to the fall of the Twin Towers, and it also tried to damage the Pentagon State and the other important buildings. So, in a way, I think before that, the USA in general, they didn't try to recognize terrorism as a potential threat to everyone in the world globally, per se, to say. But post that, I think there have been initiatives and thrust to recognize it as a potential threat for everyone, including from the states from which we see most of the terrorist organizations are coming up. So.
So how is India handling that situation wherein we know that the neighbors are trying to, we have seen instances where the organizations are being funded from our immediate neighbors, and how is India tackling that issue?
Sir, to rightly mention that India has been taking a strong stand in terms of uh, there has been a long pending meeting of the SARC, which is now not being conducted regularly, as Pakistan, who is also said to have promoted terrorism on its ground, is being boycotted from India's side. We have been engaging with other countries, as the recent SCO meet, which happened today and or a day before, in which the India has been looking for the coordination of the member countries to promote and counter terrorism initiatives. So.
Why is Pakistan in news recently?
So, because of the issue of the allegations which were imposed on ex Prime Minister Mr. Imran Khan, and due to his illegal arrest and all that drama which happened in the court premises of the Pakistan, sir, and then the new government which came up, sir, because of all of that, sir, and also other reasons in environment perspective, the floods and other things which are happening there. Then they are on the economic perspective. Recently, IMF had to, they are applying for the IMF loan and everything because of their lower growth in economy and less finances for their needs. So
During COVID, it was Mr. Imran Khan that demanded that extra close to 500 billion SDR should be allocated to the developing countries, and along with US, India opposed that initiative. What do you think about that? Should we oppose such instances or events that are for the cause of humanity, precisely the developing world?
so talking of humanity, India has been the, to rightly or not rightly use the word, been promoting at it the first, looking at the Turkey earthquakes. India sent many operations there, like Operation Godavari, and many other humanitarian assistance to our neighboring countries. During COVID 19, we were the first one to start the Vande Bharat mission to supply the first batch of the COVID 19 vaccines to least developing countries in Africa. I think from that perspective, we promote the Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which is our also theme of G20, sir, that the whole world is one family. From that perspective, definitely not, sir. India is the first to go for humanitarian initiatives if anyone is suffering around us. And secondly, sir, as from a foreign policy perspective, the strategic autonomy is also an integral part of our policies, in which we believe that our nation's interest should be first. So, if Pakistan has been promoting these terrorist organizations due to which our people, our human resources are suffering, then I feel then yes, India has a stand on that, and it's not wrong. Sir.
All right, you're from Udhampur. Give me the geographical, how has the geography of Udhampur impacted its history?
So, geography impacted his history. So, history in terms of culture or otherwise.
History in terms of, the events of the past, whether it be culture, whether it be religion, whether it be customs and traditions.
So, geography, from geography perspective, it is located at the footplains of the Shivalik Hills. It is a sort of a dun formation, to rightly call it. And in that way, due to the mountainous regions all around us, it is, the Gampur city is to be said located in the center of it, and around the other areas like the Pancheri, the Dudu Basangad are like the middle ranges of the mountains. And due to this, the geographical terrain and the topography, the history has said to develop in a way that a kind of a Pahadi culture can be seen here. Many of tribals like Gujjars and Bakarwals transmigrate here during the summers. And otherwise, the food habits, the kaladi is a very famous dish from Udhampur district, sir, and it is dense in fat. And I think that is because due to the higher regions in the mountains, it is colder, and that's why they engage in such food habits. Sir. And otherwise, sir, that is what I can recall right now.
Give me three major problems of your district.
Sir, to begin with, number one would be the waste management, the waste disposal, and waste collection. I think that is a very big hurdle in a way we try and promote the infrastructure development. No matter how much infrastructure we'll develop, if the basic sanitation facilities are not taken care of, it will lead to much more diseases like the waterborne diseases. And also, we saw during the pandemic that sanitation is an integral part of any lifestyle if we try to do that. So, waste disposal and management, sir. And second would be, sir, infrastructural development in terms of basic facilities like roads and the local transport. There have been matadors plying on the roads, but there are not designated stops for matadors, due to which many accidents are happening. I remember, as far as my memory goes, a year back, a matador hit two of the army personnel and they died on spot, sir, because of their speeding and other issues. So there needs a strict traffic management, because Udhampur is a developing district, and as a town, it is more of transitioning now, because many other urban settlements are coming up here. So infrastructure wise, that traffic management, sanitation, and so otherwise, I think the government have been trying to do their best, and the recent new GMC has been allotted from Udhampur, and that can bring better services for people. The roads have been now are now trying to uh, they are not now building the road infrastructure in urban areas. Earlier, as I think Udhampur topped in the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, but the urban areas roads were so not in good state. But now they are building up that, they are trying to come up with other good things. So I think those are some problems I can think of. So
ओके, श्रिया, अगर मुझे उधमपुर आना था और आपसे मिलना था, तो आप मुझे कौन सी जगह पर ले जाएंगे अपने साथ?
सर, अगर आपको कल्चरल जगहें पसंद है सर, तो मैं कहूँगी क्रिमची टेम्पल्स. दे आर लोकेटेड एट अ डिस्टेंस ऑफ 10 to 12 kilometers फ्रॉम मेन उधमपुर सिटी, सर. Very beautiful place located in the lap of Shivalik foothills. So second would be, if we can move around, then there are very good places like Pancheri, sir, which is now also they are trying to build it into a tourist destination, a tourist village, and so there is Gangeda Hills trek from my house, and it is a beautiful place from which the overview of the whole city can be looked upon, and many other places, sir.
You mentioned that your hobby is landscape painting. Can you tell me what was the role of Bengal School of Art in this landscape painting?
Sir, uh, landscape painting as a hobby is for de-stressing, sir. I I am aware of a little about the culture and the history of it, but not specifically into the details, sir.
So how would pursuing this particular hobby would help you in administration?
So, in administration, painting, so as a person, I believe that I am a very good observer, and I like to look into the fine details of everything. And while I paint, and that habit also helps me, because in painting you need to look for certain details, where to color which color and which gradient of color to use, and what difference in color. So that wise, to inculcate that habit of looking into the details, I think if I come into administration, any problem which I will be able to confront, I can look at the solution from the perspective of the little details, which we can fall upon if we don't look into, sir.
What is your optional, Shreya?
So public administration.
Okay. Why did you go for public administration? Your background is public administration.
Yes, sir.
So you had civil services in your mind already that you took public administration in your masters as well as in your graduation.
So somewhere, yes, when post my 12th standard, I went for graduation. So in Punjab University, we pick subjects in the first year, and on the merit basis, we get the honors in the second year. So we get the dual degree of Bachelor's of Arts and honors combined. So in the first year, I took certain subjects, and public administration is where my area of interest developed, and my interest to pursue civil services became stronger, sir. So I went with that, sir.
What interests you about public administration?
So as I read more about the nitty gritty of the administration and the other areas, I developed interest because uh, I became more aware of my privileges in terms of education and other my background. Like my father is also in education sector and he has provided me good education. That led me to be aware of the privileges I can use for the people who are not as privileged, who might not get as good education. So that intrigued me to learn more about it and then might pursue civil services in future. And if not this, then I developed interest in public policy arena also, sir.
What is this politics administration dichotomy that we study in public administration?
So public administration is, earlier it was said to be a part of political science, but post 1880s, sir, with the advent of the problems that the world was facing and the Woodrow Wilson's seminal essay, The Study of Administration, he talked about the dichotomy in the sense that administration is more about implementation. It's a science and the various techniques we use to put on ground all of the policies or whatever the politics is coming up with the decisions. So it started as a dichotomy post like earlier in 1880s, and public administration as a discipline was developed due to this debate of politics and administrative dichotomy.
Do you think this debate is still relevant today in the current times?
So not really. In a way, yes, but not really. As uh, for one district to administer better or to bring more welfare to the people, to have a decision making which is multi stakeholder approach, we need all of the segments to work together better and the interoperability is better. So I think everyone needs to work together and then we can deliver what we have to. So I think so dichotomy is not really we see today, sir.
Or can you give me basic five differences between the public administration in the developed part of the world and the developing part of the world?
So, number one would be related to the formalism, which the thinker Riggs have talked about. So, it's about that what the rules and the prescriptions are, but what we actually do is different. So, let's talk about many laws which the Indian administration has developed, but in the reality, like corruption, let's say corruption, we say that there should be no corruption and we should abstain from corruption. There are many laws like Whistleblowers Act and other act. But in reality, I think there is a behavior of acceptance towards corruption. The people have started accepting that it is a way of life, as I see around me. They say that can I use Hindi कि काम नहीं चलेगा अगर पैसे नहीं देंगे तो I then I think sir that is one formalism. And second would be sir there is a sort of technical expertise available to legislators as well in terms of policy formulation. As I read some time back that Sweden has different committees which are related to constitutional, then expertise which is required for the minimum technicalities in legislation. So I think that is lacking. We have politicians which are very educated and good from technical expertise, but otherwise I think that aspect of the little details is missing because in policy formulation that is lacking. The on ground knowledge and research is lacking, sir, which is more in the developed countries.
All right. You have right now mentioned about Woodrow Wilson. Uh, can you tell me one basic reason why is he considered as the father of public administration?
So, because he started the debate of public administration as a different discipline altogether, and that is why he's known as the father of public administration.
If not him, then who should have been the father of public administration?
So, from Indian perspective or the global perspective, sir, or the subject as in whole.
From, yeah, from the perspective of a discipline.
So, I think there there are many thinkers who have benefit in the theory making and the knowledge which we have in the public administration currently, and I cannot rightly just regard or benefit one person as the father of public administration, but I cannot mention one, sir.
All right. Shreya, just a situational question to you, that if you are present with your subordinates in your office, and there is a sudden mob attack in your office, how would you react?
So my first reaction would be to safeguard the safety of my subordinate employees which are working there, as they are part of the office in which I'm working. So number one would be to safeguard them. Second would be to raise an inquiry immediately with the security agencies and the police forces around me to secure the area as soon as as it can. Because in a mob attack, I think going with them or trying to console them or talking with them is not the idea, because they are already mob attacking me. They will not listen to me. So, on the law and order situation is the only thing which I have in my hands.
If you were a tree, then tell me, which of the species would you be?
So, tree.
Yeah.
So, mango tree because I like mangoes, sir.
So would you eat yourself if you were a mango tree?
No, sir.
Shreya, give me your three biggest weaknesses.
So, number one would be that I like to work in extremes. So, I have a problem with balancing in extremes, because if I work, I study, then I am sticking to it. I forget about all other things. And if I'm doing some other thing, then I forget about my responsibilities sometime in personal aspects, not professional. Otherwise, one is to work in extremes, and sometimes it can have an impact on my health also, because then I forget about my health and other things. Number one, this, and second would be, sir, it is related to extremism only, that I sometimes try to chase perfectionism in a way that I forget that there is a joy in learning through errors. But now I've tried to come up with that. I enjoy the mistakes I do, sir. I learn through it. I sit with them and be with them and learn through it, sir. But I think there is a problem with perfectionism with me, sir. So I cannot recall third one, sir.
No problem. Why were you, just after your 12th class, you told me that you were quite interested in getting into civil services. Why would a child who's just 16 or 17 years of age be interested in civil services, which is, much serious job? So what led you to make that decision?
So, as a child, I think you are very naive. As what you see, you perceive. And in my case, I saw in day to day administration, as my father is also involved in administration only. So, an incident, in an informal incident, I can recall is I was with my scooty and I was on the road, uh, and I parked the scooty there, and I was walking through the courts lane, and there I saw that there was to use the Hindi word naka, and so I'm using the Hindi language now. So that कि वो नाका था और वहाँ पे पुलिस ऑफिशियल्स खड़े थे तीन चार, एंड वो वहाँ ट्राई कर रहे थे रोकने का, जिन्होंने हेलमेट्स नहीं पहनी है उनके लाइसेंसेस चेक कर रहे थे, सर. So looking at that, I got inspired that in a way that it can make an influence on people's life in a good way also. So that way I got a little inspired, and dheere dheere, sir, my father, he inspired me in many ways, sir, to get into civil services.
So you were in which class at that time?
So I think 11th standard.
So how did you get a license when you were 11th class?
So I had 11th end, I think it was 11th ending, and I had the license for the light motor vehicle, sir. I think I was 18 back then. I don't remember, sir.
My last question would be why should we select you?
So I think I'm a courageous and a bold decision maker, and I I'm good with people. I like to know their problems. I like to find solutions to their day to day problems and the other things they are facing. And as through this civil services preparation, it has broadened my horizon and my perspective. I would like to broaden the horizon of the people who are not as much aware and privileged as me. So I think I fit to be as a good candidate and to be in civil services, sir. Also with my knowledge of administration through my educational background, sir.
All right. Let's conclude the session. So Shreya, कैसा लगा आपको? How was the interview?
So very good, a little good in a way that it was unpredictable in a sense that sometimes we try to anticipate what the interviewer would ask, but I didn't anticipate that you would go into the agriculture and that aspect of it, which I liked. I liked the uncertainty part, sir.
ऑल राइट, थोड़ा बात करते हैं, आपके इंट्रोडक्शन से शुरू करते हैं। तो जहाँ जहाँ पर मुझे लगा कि आपका स्ट्रॉन्ग एरिया है और वीक एरिया है, वहाँ पर आई वुड बी इन्यूमरेटिंग सम ऑफ।
I'll just write down whatever the problems are.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
So starting with the introduction, you greeted the panelists. Good evening बोला आपने, that was good. उसके बाद आपने अपना नाम बताया, आप उधमपुर से हैं, आपने स्कूलिंग बताई, ग्रेजुएशन बताया, फिर आपने कहा कि आफ्टर योर ग्रेजुएशन यू वेंट टू सिविल सर्विसेज एंड देन यू वेंट टू मास्टर्स इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड योर हॉबी इज सस्टेनेबल लाइफ, लैंडस्केप पेंटिंग एंड ट्रैवलिंग. A very concrete introduction. I would want you to repeat the introduction in the same way. तो उसमें कोई चेंज करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. इट्स वेरी कंक्रीट एंड वेरी क्रिस्प और अच्छा ही. देन सस्टेनेबल लाइफ एक इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं है. जैसे आपने बोला कि हॉबी नहीं है तो इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं है. वो सस्टेनेबल लाइफ ज़िंदगी गुजारने का तरीका है. तो हाँ, जो कि आपने अच्छे से डिफेंड किया. यू हैड वेरी गुड एग्जांपल्स दैट उसको डिफेंड करने के लिए. बट you should expect कि you should know that it's not an interest in a way that इंटरेस्ट वो चीज़ होती है जो आपको पसंद है, और हॉबी वो चीज़ होती है जिसके लिए आप समय निकालते हो. और सस्टेनेबल लिविंग करना आपका सुबह से लेकर शाम तक का ज़िंदगी गुजारने का तरीका है. तो you have to find out a way कि what have you done in this particular thing that makes it an interest or that makes it a hobby. तो find that particular thing that you could say to the panelists कि ये इस वजह से हॉबी है मेरी.
Fine.
Sir, I
So,
still have not submitted my DAF. I was skeptical about this part only, the sustainable living. So I'm thinking if I had to refine it, in what way I can refine it, or to
No,
delete it altogether from my DAF.
what I want you to mention it like this only, but you find a way in which you can defend that this is my hobby in such a scenario. Because मान के चलिए, you give an example of not using plastic. तो ऐसी कोई चीज़ जहाँ पर आप बता सकते हैं कि this is what I have been doing with my time, जहाँ पर ये मेरी हॉबी है. इन ए सेंस जैसे ऐसे हम जो मैं सोच पा रहा हूँ अभी कि लेट्स से कि आप अपने घर वालों के लिए, जैसे अभी हम प्लास्टिक का चम्मच इस्तेमाल करते हैं, सो यू आर ट्राइंग टू डू इट विद वुड. ठीक है ना? सो दैट मेक्स इट एन हॉबी. तो सस्टेनेबल लिविंग एज अ कॉन्सेप्ट इज अ वे ऑफ लाइफ, बट in that you do this and that makes it a hobby.
Got it, sir. सर मैं करती हूँ जैसे अभी आई थिंक आई कुड यूज एन एग्जांपल आई डिड दैट माय फादर गोज एंड परचेजेस द वेजिटेबल्स इन अ प्लास्टिक थैला व्हाटएवर इट इज और मैं उनको बोलती हूँ बहुत बार ट्राई करती हूँ वो करते हैं 4 दिन करते हैं 5th डे भूल जाते हैं कि वो जूट बैग आप अपने साथ लेके जाया करो पापा प्लीज आप क्लोथ बैग एंड जूट बैग लेके जाया करो तो मम्मी कर रही है बट पापा नहीं करते कभी कभी भूल जाते हैं ड्यू टू एज तो आई थिंक वो मैं एग्जांपल कर सकती हूँ यूज
हाँ हाँ, कोई ऐसी चीज़ बताइए जो आप रेगुलरली करते हो जिससे हम बता डिफेंड कर सकते हैं कि ये हॉबी हॉबी भी है.
हॉबी क्यों है इंटरेस्ट क्यों है मेरा उसमें एज अ वे ऑफ लाइफ सस्टेनेबल
या
ओके सर
उसके बाद यू मेंशन को एग्जिस्टिंग और उसके बाद उसमें फिर अलग टेंजेंट पे चला गया इंटरव्यू. तो you have a little understanding of climate smart agriculture is not only organic farming, it is beyond organic farming. जहाँ पर आप climate को inculcate करते हो, you go beyond organic. तो natural farming क्या है, then zero tillage farming क्या है, then organic farming क्या है, then climate smart agriculture क्या है, integrated farming system क्या है, और permaculture क्या. Permaculture is like the beautiful system that has been developed so far in agriculture. You just learn about it, you'd see that it is so beautiful a system जहाँ पर you actually coexist with nature in all possible ways.
Sir, I think I saw a video, but I forgot the details of it. It was about a place in Auroville in Puducherry, and there they have developed this whole forest area in which they grow the vegetables naturally, like not cutting and everything. And
Exactly.
घर भी उन्होंने बम्बू से एंड लकड़ियों से बनाया आग में
Yeah.
बनाते हैं आई सीन इट मैं सोच रही थी मैं मेंशन करूं बट देन आई थॉट कि पता नहीं मुझे डिटेल्स नहीं पता तो आई शुड नॉट से
Permaculture is not only a part of agriculture, it's an engineering marvel जहाँ पर you bring in the engineers and you design this particular system with architects in place. So ऐसा system है. Then आपने खुद mention किया green revolution. I told you what are the demand side issues. You didn't listen to the question precisely. So you kept on talking about the supply side issue. So वो थोड़ा question सुनना है ठीक से. कभी इस क्वेश्चन समझने में थोड़ी दिक्कत आ जाती है एंड इट इज़ मेंशन्ड इन योर सिलेबस जहाँ पर यू हैव टू हैव अ मेंटल अलर्टनेस. अ डायमेंशन ऑफ मेंटल अलर्टनेस इज you listen to the question and understand it in the first go, because I asked you question 2-3 times wherein you repeated the question and you questioned the question. जैसे मैंने आपको कहा कि बताइए पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का कुछ आपने कहा, फिर आपने कहा कि किस हिसाब से बताना है, इस हिसाब से बताना, उस हिसाब से बताना, उस डोंट डू दैट, है ना. तो जस्ट स्टिक टू द क्वेश्चन ओनली. जैसे मैंने हिस्ट्री का भी बोला कि हाउ हैज़ ज्योग्राफी इम्पैक्टेड द हिस्ट्री, तो आपने बोला हिस्ट्री का कौन सा हिस्सा, इज इट द ट्रेडिशन, इज इट द कस्ट. आई जस्ट सेड हिस्ट्री इज पास्ट इवेंट, इट कुड बी एनीथिंग. डोंट क्वेश्चन द क्वेश्चन.
Sir, to mention that in my weakness, I forgot, but that is my weakness. I am a very inquisitive person. So sometimes it becomes a bad habit because I keep questioning a lot of things. So people get annoyed by it in informal setup. And in a formal setup, it is definitely not right because to counter question, I think it is bad if I'm counter questioning that what part of it.
So
I get it.
I could catch that. So you don't repeat that there on. Okay. सो MSP पे आपका अच्छा जवाब था. एक्स्ट्रा बजटरी रिसोर्स, यू गिव अ रॉन्ग आंसर. तो प्राइवेटाइजेशन से जो हमें रिसीट्स मिलता है, इट इज़ पार्ट ऑफ द कैपिटल रिसीट्स.
Capital receipts.
And extra budgetary resources are not part of the budget. The name only suggests it is extra budgetary.
Extra budgetary receipts.
It is beyond the budget. So what I was trying to make the point here there was FCI they don't have enough funds to procure these crops at MSP, so the government tells them to go for borrowing. Fine, and that borrowing that the FCI does is not part of the borrowing done under fiscal deficit by the government, and that is why it is known as extra budgetary. It is done behind the curtains. But the deficit or the borrowings that are done in extra budgetary resources are not part of the fiscal deficit, but they are part of the overall public debt of the government.
The extra borrowings, sir. Got it.
Yeah. Then we talked about your name, good fortune. उसमें भी जब मैं गुड फॉर्चून का बोला आपने, यू रिपीट काउंटर्ड द क्वेश्चन अगेन कि गुड फॉर्चून किस हिसाब से बोलना है, तो वो हाँ वो नहीं ठीक था. अच्छा, आपने फिर इवनिंग वॉक का बोला, पैशनेट हैं आप, एनिमल लवर है, दैट वाज फाइन. उसके बाद वी टॉक्ड अबाउट हिंदी, हिंदी इम्पोजिशन, उसके लिए हर बैलेंस्ड आंसर. फिर आपने 9/11 की बात की, दैट वाज अगेन बैलेंस्ड. पाकिस्तान की बात हुई, अगेन बैलेंस्ड. बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट अच्छा है आपका. फाइन, यू आर नॉट ऑन द एक्सट्रीम्स, ये आपका बैलेंस्ड आंसर रहता है, सो विल नॉट हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम्स इन दैट. उसके बाद वी टॉक्ड अबाउट उधमपुर, वो भी ठीक था, कोई प्रॉब्लम वहाँ नहीं लगी मुझे. लैंडस्केप पेंटिंग पर थोड़ा बंगाल स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट का देख लीजिए आप. ओके, वहाँ वी हैड एन आर्टिस्ट that was trained in the Bengal School of Thought by the name of Nandalal Bose, and that guy created the first original manuscript of the Constitution of India.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so they might lead it to there. Then we talked about public administration, and here is something that I want to enumerate. While you are answering the areas of interest in public administration, the why you got interested in public administration, I could sense that you had too many sighs, like you were sighing a lot. ठीक है, शुरू से 3-4 बार, like I asked you a question, you had a sigh. जब साई करते हैं ना, वो आपने रिपीट किया, 3-4 बार रिपीट किया आपने. तो ऐसा ऐसा कि जैसे ज़बरदस्ती में क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया भाई. ठीक है, तो साइनेस थोड़ा इग्नोर करिए आप वो अनकॉन्शियसली करते होंगे, बट क्योंकि मैं ऑब्जर्व कर रहा हूँ तो आई हैव टू ऑब्जर्व दैट इज वेल. एंड पॉलिटिक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन डाइकोटमी ठीक था. यस, वन इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, आई टोल्ड यू गिव मी 5 डिफरेंट रीजंस के पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कैसे डिफरेंट है डेवलप्ड एंड डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में. I didn't let you complete your answer because you were explaining it too much. You don't have that much time. आपने पहला नंबर बताया, नंबर 1 करके आपने शुरू किया, एंड यू एक्सप्लेन दैट अ लॉट. इतना टाइम नहीं, मैंने 5 डिफरेंसेस बताई, आप 1 2 3 4 5 करके 5 डिफरेंसेस बताइए. अब देखिए, आई नो 5 डिफरेंसेस बताने के लिए जिस स्पीड से आप जा रहे थे, इट वुड हैव टेकन यू 10 मिनट्स फॉर दैट, एंड आपका टोटल इंटरव्यू ही 25 मिनट का होगा अगर चला तो यू विल नॉट गेट दैट मच टाइम दियर. अभी जितना टाइम आपको मिल रहा है, इससे आधा टाइम मिलेगा आपको उधर. सो इसीलिए मैंने आपको रोक लिया, सेकंड पॉइंट पर ही मैंने टोक दिया आपको. तो जब आपको 5 डिफरेंसेस, 3 डिफरेंसेस, 3 सिमिलैरिटी, ऐसी कुछ 3 4 5 करके बोलेंगे, यू जस्ट गिव देम 1 2 3 4 5 एंड जस्ट डोंट एक्सप्लेन टू मच. या जस्ट एग्जैक्टली. और उसमें भी there is another thing I talked about, permaculture. Do you know about it? You said yes sir, and just you kept mum. Then I told you, do you know about climate smart agriculture? You said yes sir, then you kept mum. तो आप कहते तो हो yes sir, then you don't pursue that, आप आंसर नहीं देते हो. तो ये बोलना कि डू यू नो अबाउट पर्माकल्चर, आप बोलना यस सर, इट इज़ अ सिस्टम वेर इन वी टॉक्ट अबाउट परमानेंट एग्रीकल्चर एंड ऑल दैट. एमडी मॉरिस ने किसने किसने बनाया था. तो उसको एक्सप्लेन करिए थोड़ा सा, यस सर बोलने के बाद उसको थोड़ा परस्यू करिए, 2-3 लाइन्स बताइए उसके बारे में, डिफाइन करिए उसको. लेकिन जहाँ पर स्पेसिफिक नंबर आपको बोला गया है, जो 3 बताइए, 5 बताइए, वो तो उसमें वही बुलेट पॉइंट के हिसाब से आपको आगे चलना है. देन there was this change in the language. जो मैंने स्टार्ट किया था, I changed my language. I just wanted to see whether you pursue that or not. मैंने इंग्लिश से हिंदी शिफ्ट किया, तो आपने भी इमीडिएटली हिंदी शिफ्ट किया, दैट इज गुड.
मैं फिर से इंग्लिश में
देन आपने फिर ऑटोमेटिकली हिंदी टू इंग्लिश चले गए. आप यू शुड नॉट डू दैट. जो पैनलिस्ट जिस लैंग्वेज में पूछ रहा है, उसी लैंग्वेज में जवाब दीजिए आप. ठीक है, एंड यू शुड नॉट आस्क कि सर कैन आई टॉक इन हिंदी एंड कैन आई डू दिस एंड दैट.
okay
डोंट डू दैट.
directly speak.
You have a you have to directly speak, and you if the person is asking a question in Hindi, then you have to answer in Hindi. If person is in English, then answer it in English. Don't change the language.
And if I want to switch midway, I can just switch directly, not
no
ask.
don't you don't have to switch. You neither have to ask, you not have to switch. You cannot switch.
Okay, unless they speak in Hindi, I should not speak in
Yeah,
Hindi.
yeah, you should not speak in Hindi.
I think it creates a bulge in the flow of communication. Like,
Exactly, and
distorts it.
it does not look good in a formal condition.
Right, sir.
They would not stick to the language. You should anticipate that. If your medium is English only, you should not expect the entire interview would go in English. They would switch the languages, and you should be ready for that already. Then I talked about mental so mob attack होगा तो कैसे आप हैंडल करेंगे. आपने बोला I would safeguard them. That shows your leadership quality, जो कि बहुत अच्छा आंसर दिया आपने. Then I would raise the inquiry with the police and all that. That shows mental alertness. और आपने ये भी बोला कि क्योंकि mob attack है तो कुछ किया नहीं जा सकता उसमें. So वो mental alertness है, वो अच्छा है आपने. That is your strength. आप जल्दी आंसर फ्रेम करते हो. That is where you were spot on. ट्री वाले क्वेश्चन में that was not a good answer. So you like mangoes, but I told you which tree would you become. But अब tree आप mango वाला tree बन गए, then you would not be able to consume that. तो आपको ऐसा कुछ बोलना है जिसमें आप अपनी personality दिखा सके, not your likings, but your personality. You have to communicate yourself in a way that you should have said, sir, I would like to become a chinar tree because it provides shade to others as well.
Right, right.
है ना, कुछ इस तरीके से जो आपके बारे में बताएगा. इंटरव्यू इज ऑल अबाउट यू, नॉट योर लाइकिंग्स एंड डिसलाइकिंग. उससे वी आर लीस्ट कंसर्न अबाउट दैट. पर आप क्या है एग्जैक्टली. सो फाइंड दीज अपॉर्चुनिटीज जहाँ पर यू कैन सेल योर सेल्फ एंड यू कैन टॉक अबाउट योर वैल्यू सिस्टम. वीकनेस आपने बताया. पहला वीकनेस आपने बताया कि यू वर्क इन एक्सट्रीम्स, यू फॉरगेट अबाउट समटाइम्स योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ एंड देन यू थॉट अबाउट गलत हो गया शायद. फिर आपने बोला इन अ पर्सनल लेवल, नॉट इन द प्रोफेशनल लेवल. ना व्हाई वुड दे बिलीव दैट कि पर्सनल लेवल पे जब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है आपकी तो प्रोफेशनल कैसे रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी. तो यू शुड नॉट से एनीथिंग लाइक दैट कि आप कभी अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भूलते हो. दैट्स नॉट अ गुड थिंग. सेकेंड आपने बोला कि इट इम्पैक्ट्स योर हेल्थ. सो इफ एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर इज नॉट टेकिंग केयर ऑफ हिज ओन हेल्थ, देन how would he take care of the entire district? So you should not be a person who does not take care of the health. No doubt you're working only, but you have to have a balance. You're a balanced individual. So instead, your weaknesses have to be something that are subtle in nature. Like आपने बोला कि I chase perfection. ठीक है ना. स्ट्रेंथ आपकी वीकनेस क्या होती है. वीकनेस आमतौर पर सिविल सर्विसेज में ऐसी बतानी है जो आपकी स्ट्रेंथ है जिसको आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे. So weaknesses have to be strengths that cannot be controlled. जैसे chasing perfection एक तरीके से strength ही है, but perfection के पीछे भागे थोड़ा weakness हो गया. So it's a good weakness to have. ठीक है. आप बता सकते हैं I give too much attention to details. तो ये अच्छी चीज भी है पर ये weakness भी है. आप बता सकते हैं सर आई एम नॉट टू आर्टिस्टिक, मुझे गाना नहीं आता या मुझे डांस करना नहीं आता. सो वी विल नॉट हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम विद दैट. एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर को डांस करना नहीं आता, नॉट कंसर्न विद दैट. ठीक है ना. सो वीकनेसेस सटल होनी चाहिए और ऐसी वीकनेस होनी चाहिए जो जल्दी से जिसको ठीक किया जा सके. ठीक है.
Yes, sir. Right.
Then you told me, I asked you why civil services. You said about an incident जहाँ पर आपने लाइसेंसेस की बात की, वो हाँ पकड़ रहे थे एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा.
That could fire back. I remember. That could fire
पहले
back
तो
a little due to law and the other provisions. If I was not alert enough to answer, I recognized while answering, sir.
one part is that. Second part is I could not find anything inspiring about that. It was not too inspiring for me, to be honest. Inspiring in the sense that you should come up with an interesting story. This is something everybody goes through and it's not that inspiring. थोड़ा बहुत think about it, talk to some seniors, go and Google some IAS officers, see whether they have done some transformational changes in some part of the country, and then that is what you can quote as an inspirational story.
Sir, I was just being honest about it because I think I'm a very transparent person individually, and I quoted as it was for me. But I get it. I have to be a little diplomatic in a way how I present it to the.
Exactly. I don't know whether you watched the movie or not, that movie of Interstellar by Christopher Nolan, wherein they make this robot and they put the honesty level at 90%. ठीक है, they could have a robot with 100% honesty, but they understood that we don't need 100% honesty all the time. There have to be a place जहाँ पर आपको कुछ और चीज़ डिप्लोमेटिकली हैंडल करनी पड़ेगी. तो ऑनेस्टी ठीक है, बट कभी कभार थोड़ा बहुत डिप्लोमेटिकली हैंडल करके उसको थोड़ा और इंस्पायरिंग या और थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग बनाना है, सो दैट दे रिमेंबर यू. आपको बस अपने आप को उनके दिमाग पर ऐसी छाप छोड़नी है कि भाई वो याद रखे, नहीं ऐसा एक कैंडिडेट आया था. इट हैपन्स. लाइक अभी हमने लास्ट टू लास्ट वीक हमने जब मॉक्स शुरू किया इधर ऑफलाइन में, लॉट ऑफ मॉक्स, ऐसे एक में तो 25 मॉक्स कराए एक ही दिन में. तो that was, I would not remember all 25 candidates, but there were some 3-4 candidates जिन्होंने ऐसा impact create किया that I cannot forget what they say, what they've told me during the interview. उनकी एक एक बात मुझे याद है because they made it too interesting. वो करना है एक, you have to make it interesting for the panelists. उसके बाद I told you why should we select you. आपने जितने भी उसमें रीजंस दिए, ऑल ऑफ देम वर फ्लॉलेस रीजंस, बट you only talked about why should we select you, and you started telling about yourself. It did not, it showed a lot of integrity in a sense that आपका intellectual acumen कैसा है, आपका decision making power कैसा है, आपका problem solution oriented है, आप courageous है, broader horizon है, you're fit to be in civil services and all that. That is all fine. But you didn't talk about your moral integrity. आपको साथ में ये भी बताना चाहिए था, there are 700 other candidates that might have the same strengths as you have talked about. तो what differentiates you from them? ऐसा कुछ बोला नहीं है आपने उसमें. तो ऐसा अगर आप बता देते कि सर, however I don't know about my competitors or about my fellow colleagues that are in the process as well. I just want the recruitment process to be fair to everyone, and may the best person be selected for the job. So that would show your moral integrity. कि आप अपने बारे में confident है, you're fine with that, but morality भी है, integrity है, और you're fine with the result जो भी आएगा आप उसमें settle होंगे, कोई issue नहीं होगा आपको. तो वो एक strong personality दिखाता है, confident personality दिखाता है. बाकी if you don't know about certain concepts like agriculture के बारे में या कोई भी concept, that is not really important. We are not here to check whether you know facts or not. पर facts पूछे जाएंगे आपको, not because they want to know whether you know this concept. It is just that they want to check कि आप गलत जवाब तो नहीं दे रहे, आप झूठ तो नहीं बोल रहे, whether or not you're being honest or dishonest with your answers. इसीलिए facts भी पूछे जाते हैं. कभी आपको बोला जाएगा बताइए 4-5 फैक्ट एक साथ पूछे जाएंगे आपको, और आपको 4 के 4 नहीं आएंगे, ऐसे फैक्ट्स होंगे वो. पर वो फैक्ट्स के लिए नहीं पूछ रहा था, वो ये देखना चाह रहा है कि भाई तुम सारे सवाल का जवाब देने की कोशिश कर रहे हो या तुम कभी आई डोंट नो भी बोल रहे हो. ठीक है ना, जिसमें जवाब नहीं है आपको आई डोंट नो बोल के आगे चलो. एंड आई डोंट नो भी बड़ा जुडिशियसली इस्तेमाल करना है. You should not, I would recommend you should not answer all questions. जहाँ पर you're a little not too confident about an answer, you should simply say I don't know. ठीक है ना, वो भी एक ह्यूमिलिटी दिखाता है इंसान की, और ये भी दिखाता है कि you're willing to learn, you're willing to accept that you don't know everything. वो भी एक पर्सनालिटी का ट्रेट है. एंड देन आई डोंट नो भी बताना है ऐसे क्वेश्चंस पर that are factual in nature. You cannot say I don't know to a question which asks for an opinion. You cannot say I don't know to a question which is related to your DAF. DAF पे I don't know बोलना is a crime. ठीक है, तो this is something that I wanted to share with you. बाकी मुझे लगा आप बहुत काम है, you were not at all afraid. कोई मुझे नर्वसनेस नहीं दिखा, कामनेस दिखी. थोड़ा आपका बहुत काम और बहुत क्या कहते हैं सेटल्ड कैरेक्टर है, आपका नेचर अच्छा है, पॉजिटिव वाइब है, यू कीप ऑन स्माइलिंग ओकेजनली, वो एक पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट छोड़ता है पैनल पर. मुझे ओवरऑल कोई ऐसा मेजर प्रॉब्लम नहीं दिखा. यू आर अ गुड कैंडिडेट फॉर दिस फॉर द इंटरव्यू.
So if you have to give me marks, how much marks you would give me according to this interview?
इफ़ यू वर्क ऑन दीज थिंग्स, जो मैंने आपको बताया कि लिमिट करना है, कहीं जैसे यहाँ पर एक्सप्लेन नहीं करते हो वहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन करना है, जो भी मैंने आपको यहाँ पर पॉइंट्स इन्यूमरेट करके दिए, आई बिलीव आप 170 प्लस टच कर सकते हो.
So this is my second interview. I scored 160 in the last interview, so in 2022 December. So and
170 plus. Yeah.
and so one problem which I felt in the last interview was I think I was not very affirmative with my answers. As chairman also rightly mentioned it while talking that आप सब सही जवाब दे रहे हो मगर थोड़ा और confidence से बोलो. तो did you feel that I'm not very assertive with my answer?
This time I didn't feel that. मुझे लगा कि you were confident, ऐसा मुझे लगा नहीं कहीं. You have worked on your confidence a lot in this 1 year. But जो मुझे लगा कि stick to what is being asked, listen to the question very carefully. You have limited time, तो उसमें उसका अच्छे से इस्तेमाल करो. Don't explain too much, don't contextualize, ज़्यादा context मत दो, और उधर मत ले जाओ इंटरव्यू को जहाँ पर आप कंफर्टेबल नहीं हो. Because most of the questions that I asked, I had not prepared that. वो आप ही ने मुझे लीड किया उधर.
Got it, sir. So it means that if I have to boost my score from 170 to 180, I should work upon the areas that you have mentioned.
Yes, yes, yes. You should.
Right, sir. So that's all. Do I need any amendment in my DAF as you have read through my DAF?
No, you go with the same, but just find a way out. कि सस्टेनेबल लाइफ वाला जो मैं बता रहा था आपको, उसमें एक आंसर निकाल लो अपना अच्छा सा एग्जाम्पल, और एग्जाम्पल भी हर चीज़ की कम से कम 2 से 3 निकाल लो. बिकॉज जैसे आप कोई भी अपनी बारे में इवेंट बोलोगे ना, दे माइट कम अप, दे माइट से कि इसके बगैर बताओ, क्योंकि हर किसी ने कोई ना कोई एक इवेंट तो हमेशा तैयार किया होता है, तो आपको बना बनाया आंसर बता देता है उधर पे. तो उसके बाद बोलेगा नहीं उसके बाद बताओ कुछ, उसके बाद वो ब्लैकआउट हो जाता है क्योंकि उससे तैयारी नहीं की थी. तो कोई भी एग्जाम्पल बताएंगे 2 से 3 एग्जाम्पल्स साथ रखिए उसके, दैट वुड डू इट. आप यू डोंट हैव टू चेंज एनीथिंग, आप यू गो विद द सेम.
Right, sir. Any concluding remarks, sir?
You're good. I believe you'll not have any issues with interview. आपका मेजर आपका पर्सनालिटी बहुत अच्छा है. बाकी फैक्चुअल नॉलेज आप गेन कर लोगे, पर्सनालिटी तगड़ा है आपका. आई हैव नॉट फाइंड एनी नेगेटिव आस्पेक्ट इन योर पर्सनालिटी. ये जो भी मैंने आपको चीज़ें बताई, सिर्फ एक चीज़ है कि डोंट काउंटर द क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, बस वो एक चीज़ पर्सनालिटी में थोड़ा एक नेगेटिविटी डाल देता है. बाकी आपने जहाँ पर भी वीकनेसेस है वो ठीक की जा सकती है, पर ये चीज़ जो है इसमें थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, इसमें थोड़ा मेहनत करो आप.
So my interview is on 13th, sir, and I leave on 11th, sir. So just 5 days left.
No problem, you'll do good. They have confidence. I really enjoyed it. हालांकि उतना डिस्कशन नहीं हुआ हमारा, बट आई रियली एन्जॉय टॉकिंग टू यू एज अ पर्सन. आप पॉजिटिव इंसान हैं, आप पॉजिटिव वाइब छोड़ते हैं, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं लगी आपके अंदर. यू दिस अटेम्प्ट इज, यू हैव अ हाई चांस इन दिस अटेम्प्ट.
Thank you so much, sir. So it was great talking to you, and I really enjoyed it, sir. So I've given mocks
Thank
last time also. I gave one mock this time also with 5, 6 different panel members sitting, but I think it was more joyful and a learning experience with you, I think. Because as I said, it the part of uncertainty I liked it. It was thrown at me and I liked it. I like uncertainty, so I like that. I didn't anticipate it would go into the agriculture and other aspect. I think I only spoke that, and you countered question me. But I like how you took it into a different aspect altogether. It was not mainstream; it was different, and I like that because I think that is what can happen in main interview also. They don't. It is not anticipated which side they would take. They can go anywhere. Last time they got interested in my colleague's name, Maherchan Mahajan, sir, who was also first Prime Minister of JNK. Mushtaba sir kept talking about college and then some local my family lineage and anything, and I it was not anticipated for me. I think I was blown off by the fact that they went into my personal family history. So I think you gave me that aspect that one should be okay and not anticipate. It can go anywhere, and I think with mains or experience of 2 times, I think we have sufficient knowledge to answer these
Yes, yes,
questions.
yes.
The best part about you is you're very calm, as far as I can. observe you. You're very calm with things and very okay with things. You are a relaxed personality. That is a good trait to have. उसमें आई बिलीव कि आप अच्छे मार्क्स गेन कर लोगे इस बेसिक चीज़ की वजह से.
Right, sir. I'll work upon the things you have talked about. That question part, I think it is irritating to the people who are questioning you also, that you're counter questioning them. And I think it's a personal bad habit. I'll definitely improve in next 5 days as much as I can, sir.
Don't get conscious about it, okay? उससे थोड़ा परफॉर्मेंस खराब हो जाएगा. Once in a while अगर हो भी जा रहा है तो don't get too conscious about it.
I'll try to be alert that I'm listening in one go. But अगर कभी ऐसे छूट जाते तो मैं पूछ सकती हूँ, but in a very polite way. But if it is repetitive, like this time it was repetitive with you.
Like you can say, sir, you can just talk about like this. Pardon me, sir, I did not hear it completely. ऐसा बता सकते हैं आप.
In a way that it was not audible to me, not in a way that I'm counter questioning them, right?
Not in a way that you could not grasp the question.
Grasp.
Because वो भी एक problem है.
That my alertness is less. I'm not listening it.
Exactly.
Right, sir. Right, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you
all
so
right. All the best. If you have time, you come visit us in Srinagar.
Definitely, sir. I would like to. I'm coming on 11th, and I'll visit post my interview or pre. However, where is your center located, sir?
It's in Karanagar, just 5 minutes away from Solina, from JKAS.
Okay, definitely, sir. I would like to pay the visit, sir.
All right. All the best.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Have a good evening, sir. See you,
All the
sir.
best.
Thank you.